Hi, I'm Kim, and you're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free and stay free. Before I get going with this video, I just want to take a moment to thank our friend Gordon very much for your donation to our channel's PayPal account. Thank you, Gordon. Over the years that I've been here at YouTube, many friends here at the channel have asked me, come on, Kim, seriously, what do you think these creatures are? And I want to talk about that today. Anytime you're trying to categorize something, you're going to be looking for similarities, traits, characteristics that would qualify this particular thing as belonging to a particular group. And today we're going to try and classify what narcissists really are. Now, are narcissists like carrots? Well, they're nothing like a carrot. In fact, they differ in shape, size, none of that tapering, no greenery growing out the top of their head. So it's safe to assume a narcissist is simply not a root vegetable. Many of us have asked, is it human? Well, they certainly look like humans, have the basic structure of a human being, but it is not just our human form that makes us human. There are many other characteristics and traits that should be present to classify someone as a human being. Things like the capacity to love, be empathetic or considerate, the ability to emotionally self-regulate, the ability to actually feel joy for another person's success. Now, there are many, many traits and characteristics that human beings share with each other that are clearly lacking in narcissists. So, what do the experts say about this? Now, of course, the #1 global authority on narcissism is Dr. Robert Hare from the University of British Columbia. Now, Dr. Robert Hare is not a self-appointed global expert on narcissism. No, not at all. He has been deemed the global expert by the psychiatric community at large. I mean, the international community of psychiatrists have seen Dr. Robert Hare's work as being significant enough to deem him the global expert. And he says, no, they're not human. They lack the qualities that classify someone as a human being. And of course, it was Dr. Robert Hare who coined the term interspecies predators. And he's not the only one. There is a great psychiatrist here at YouTube. Her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf, and she clearly states they are demonically possessed entities. And of course, Dr. Richard Gallagher, an American psychiatrist who treats narcissists, and as part of his practice, he offers exorcism. Now, of course, there are many ways that any number of ailments can be treated, but once you're treating a condition with exorcism, chances are you're dealing with an entity other than that of a human. So based on this information, I'm going to assume it's safe to say that narcissists aren't human. Despite the fact they look like humans, they don't act like humans, so what could be motivating them? Well, we've got two narcissists here at YouTube, and I'm sure most of you know their names. That's H.G. Tudor and Sam Vaknin. Now, both, on many occasions, have said that they are led by evil. It is an evil force that drives them. Vaknin many times has said things like the devil made him do it. Sam Vaknin references movies like Children of the Corn. In fact, Sam Vaknin, and I do believe I included this clip in an older video, Vaknin went as far as to say, if you are the victim of narcissistic abuse, you do not need a psychiatrist, you do not need a therapist, you don't need a life coach. You sure as heck don't need an intuitive guide or a spiritual guide. You need to call Ghostbusters. Over the years I've had my channel, I have been contacted by 7 and counting psychiatrists, all Americans who had lucrative careers as psychiatrists. Over the duration of their careers, they come to understand that when dealing with narcissism, they were really unable to treat them, classify them as human beings, discover in them human characteristics and traits, and all 7 stated to me that they were giving up very lucrative careers as medical professionals to further study the occult in an attempt to, well, figure out what's going on here. I did tell each of them about the others and was able to put several of them in contact with each other. Though the top experts in the world have stated over and over again, they are not mentally ill. This concept that they're potentially mentally ill has been debunked too many times to count. I find it astonishing when I see someone continuing to perpetuate this madness. In fact, I have a gauge now that I use when I suspect someone is narcissistic, and it is something that I use to help protect myself. Now, one of the things that I found overwhelmingly incapacitating when I was with the narcissist was his constant mental drain, this constant mental fatigue, this constant confusion. I truly could not decipher which end was up. It just, all that gaslighting, all that madness, trying to make sense of it. It was too bloody much for my head, to tell you the truth. And we have talked about the impact gaslighting has on the human mind several times, and man, it's not good. It truly does show the exact same as blunt force trauma. So when I was first confronted with the possibility that what the narc that was abusing me suffered from was mental illness, I gotta tell you, I felt that same instant confusion. I mean, it just defies logic. It's just not reasonable. How could someone else's mental illness absolutely, utterly destroy another person? It simply doesn't make sense. And I know many people, when it is suggested that they're mentally ill, also suffer this real state of disorientation, confusion. They find it very difficult to understand. Now, I think for most of us, it's safe to say that, when you see something, anything, things tend to, well, just make sense to us. They're self-explanatory. Just looking on at a situation typically results in some level of understanding for most people. And I think for victims of narcissistic abuse, empaths, truth tellers, way showers, when we look on at any situation and are immediately struck with a dumbfoundedness, a feeling of confusion, a real head scratcher, like, what did they say? What am I looking at? What the heck's going on here? I think this is always going to be an indicator that someone or something is attempting to deceive you. There's absolutely zero evidence whatsoever to support the possibility that they're mentally ill. But wait a minute, we're not done with our attempts to classify these things. Now, initially, when I started to come to terms with the fact that there was something gravely wrong with Trevor, I had no idea what was going on. So what I did, and I've mentioned this in other videos, I sat down at my computer and I just punched in his behaviors in the search bar, hit search, and what came up? Well over 300,000 search results for demonic possession. Now, that led me to research and study the occult a little, and there are definite markers that can be used when attempting to identify someone who is demonically possessed or to identify an evil entity. And I really encourage you to do a little research yourself, because what you're going to find is the top 10 markers, well, all of them. But right now I'm just talking about the top 10 markers when identifying an evil entity. Well, heck, if they're not the exact same 10 markers as used when describing a narcissist. Their initial attempt to entice people, to lure people. The way they use, flattery and idealization to trap a victim. The devaluing, the crazy making, the chaos, the lies, the deception, the infidelity, the joy that they experience from harming other people. And it's not really joy, like you understand joy, but it is to them a real sense of satisfaction. They take pride in hurting people, as demons do. They inflict on victims what I'm just going to refer to as a mind virus, almost a hypnotic state. Sexual predators often prone to acts of incest or pedophilia. Since narcissists and the demonically possessed basically share the exact same character traits, 100%, I do believe it's safe to classify them as the damned, the demonically possessed. Just going back to simple basic principles of if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and waddles like a duck, it's a duck. A couple of reasons I wanted to talk about this today. First and foremost, it's a question many victims have asked. I asked, seriously, what the heck is it? In fact, I asked him several times, what the heck are you? You look human, but you sure don't act human. Really a valid question when trying to sort out what the heck is going on in your life and you're confronted with the possibility that your partner may be nothing more than a meat suit full of demons. The reason I want to talk about this today is I've had the opportunity over the last week to speak to a well-known expert on narcissism, and that is the woman responsible for the video Diabolical Narcissism. That's Ann Barnhart. Now, Ann is going to be a guest here with me. We will be filming over the next couple of days. If you're not familiar with Ann's work, Diabolical Narcissism, you can see the videos here at YouTube. But if you have a question for Ann, please leave it in the comments below. Now, I do believe that Ann is going to be able to answer a lot of questions for us. And of course, I got this thing going on with the algorithm. I've got issues with my videos being demonetized. So if you could possibly help me out so we could reach as many people as possible and make it possible for as many victims and survivors to ask Ann a question as we can possibly squeeze in, you'd be doing me a great favor if you share this video at your social media sites, and if you leave a thumbs up and if you leave a comment. I really appreciate it. Those of you unfamiliar with Ann's work, Ann has some very steadfast ideas about things that could potentially differ from yours. Now, Ann's work is coming from a place of very traditional Roman Catholic faith, for which she makes no apologies. Within our community, Ann Barnhart would most certainly be considered an expert on narcissism. She has certainly done the legwork, done the research, and put together a pretty coherent assessment of what a narcissist is and the harm a narcissist can inflict on another person. So if you do have a question, please leave it in the comments below and I'll make sure Ann gets that. Anyways, guys, I absolutely believe that what attacked me was pure evil, and I know many of you feel the same way. I'm Kim. You're watching Kim Wilson TV. I love you guys lots, and I hope you're having a great narc-free day.